It's Sunday, it's 11:45, and I'm just back from my first church service this morning, and which was actually Scratchy Corner Church, Wilsford. I thought we'd do this. I looked at my back catalogue, I've never covered it. Consam1320, Consam Electronics was a two-way radio dealer who did some CB stuff as well, and they had these made for them as a custom thing by Maxon in Korea, and it's different with the Maxon sets, but it's nevertheless a Maxon made set, and I don't know I've ever played with one before. So we've got the square type of power lead, we've got those, but September 1982, and it uses a 4-pin mic socket. I don't know the pin out. If I looked at the circuit diagram, which I printed off, which handily was in the instruction book, and I did find on the net some years ago, it's probably Cybernet. So Mark's already been through this and has decided it isn't working. So it's got the red sticker. So it should be something interesting to explore. It's quite well worn, so somebody's had a lot of use out of it. It's when you get those immaculate sets that they often have really horrible faults and haven't worked for a very long time. That's why they're immaculate and back in the box. Won't open up with those screws in. You notice we've got the squelch knob missing, but that's how it is. So there's no horrors in there, and there's no capacitors that are looking horrible either. So chances are that that's going to be the VCO, that's going to be transmit, that's probably going to be the second harmonic trap, and then that's going to be the detector, and these will be the receive front end, and then down to the IF. So that's what I'm expecting, and that's without looking at the circuit. Because we've never done one of these, I'll do one of my little diagrams, and I'll just pause the video while I do that. Okay, so I've made a bit of a diagram of what we're doing here. Not quite sure on some of these. I don't want to pour over the diagram, and some of them I can't see the labelling because the parts are on top of it. So we know that's RV401, and I could look that up on the I think that's deviation. Yeah, it's deviation. That could be low power. Yes. So I think we're about there. So I'm going to connect this up. Power it up. Connect up the test instruments. I remember when I worked at Nottingham Radio, the bloke who ran Consam was packing up, so it'd be mid-90s, and he brought some stuff over because he was the Maxon main dealer as we were, and you know, did we want to buy some of the stuff off him? I think we had a marker oscillator off him. Right, is it a Cybernet standard mic? Switch it on first. Channel 9 puts a light up rather than saying 9. Get rid of the fluff and dust. What happens when we turn that in? Got something happening. Turn the squelch down. So that's the squelch. It does actually transmit. So I'll put picture in picture on. And I'll just stand up so I can see the monitor. Yeah. Wow. Well, it's banging across, so it's certainly doing more than 3 watts. It's actually doing 3.6 watts. Maxon sets usually can be set to do full power. Not going to worry about the VCO. I could follow the Midland 2001, 3001, 4001 setup, and I'm sure we'd have somewhere similar. I don't think this is far removed from that chassis. So let's look at what we can achieve. So that's 3.6 and a bit. That's just a shade away from 4. It's going to drop off as the radio warms up. I'll just check where that is on the circuit. I think it's going to be one with a spectrum analyzer. I don't need to put that on if I don't need to put it on. So 103, T104. No. I think we can adjust that. We've got a full 4 watts there. That core's not 100%. It has been damaged at some time in its life. But there we are, full 4 watts. So we know that RV102 is the meter, which is banging across. So we'll unbang it so that it reads 4. Now I'm curious whether that is low power. So we'll switch it to low power. Change range on the test set. So we should be doing 400 milliwatts. And we're doing 270 milliwatts. So we'll adjust that preset. And hey presto, it's low power. It'll take us from it'll take us from 80 milliwatts to full whack. So there we are at 400 milliwatts. It's a 10 decibel attenuator, and that's where it should be. So that has now answered one of our questions. So I don't know, I couldn't actually spot it on the circuit. Let's have another look. Oh, it's RV301. Good. Useful feature that when you're in a convoy and you don't want to blow the windows out of the car, which is on your bumper. So let's look at deviation. 1, 2, 1. Wow, it's doing nearly 5. That needs to come down. How many channels do you want to talk on at once? So that's deviation, RV401. Testing Wallow. That'll do. So that's 2.5 absolute maximum and averaging around 2.2. So deviation RV401. So we'll pop it on frequency. So I'll put the camera over to. It's not malfunctioning radio yet. It's just a service job. Again, this came in a box of stuff. You know, we buy. I think the best way is chassis and boards and scrap sets and things like that. So. Oh yes, on frequency. Uses a nice quality trimmer. Slightly out. Well within spec. It's just dropped a little bit. It should be 79125 and it's 79115. It really is neither here nor there. New sets come out of the box worse than this. And that needs to be a different trimmer, and I don't think I've got a yellow one. I need the RS yellow one to do this. See how clever I am and use totally the wrong tool. Let's see what totally the wrong tool we can find so we don't have to pinch one off Chippy's bench. Look, I've got a screwdriver. Now we'll try again. Have I got it the right way or the wrong way? It's going to affect it when I touch it, you see. The wrong way. There we go. 2779126. That'll do beautifully. That's not the right tool. It's the RS Type 2, I think, the yellow one. Right, so we're all done on transmit. So let's dial in 2779125 into the signal generator, and we'll see how awful it is. Tell you what, it's 1 microvolt. No, it's not. That's 1 microvolt. Let's bring it onto frequency. Right. Let's go up to the SINAD meter and the oscilloscope. So for 10 decibel SINAD. For 12 decibel SINAD, what do we have to put in? Actually, it's 1.4 microvolts, so it's not actually that scary. Some of those very swish-looking Cobra 29 ELX EUK sets, which are pretty dreary, don't work any better than this does out of the scrap box. So, we'll start by putting a 100 microvolt signal equivalent to S9 onto the radio. We'll look at the oscilloscope. I'll pop off the bench light so we get a better picture of the trace. And still got to have the air conditioning on in here, as you can hear. We will adjust the detector, which on max on base sets can need adjustment every time you see them. except this set. Spot on. So we'll pop the signal generator down till we get somewhere around about 4 decibels showing on the SINAD meter. So we don't want to saturate the signal. So there we are. That's 1 microvolt, which sounds lousy. Let's go through the front end. Probably a tiny improvement there. Very finicky adjustment, but it wasn't out. Just check if we can set that with a higher level easier. Set that to 12. I'll come back to that. That one, that's the one that's out. Wow. That's made a huge difference. I wonder if someone thought this one put it on frequency because it's next to the crystal. Well, it doesn't. Just check that. Put a bigger signal on. I think we're about there. I'd like more though. I would like more. I think it's pretty crummy. I'm going to go through it all again. Check that detector once again. It isn't faulty, but it just isn't good. So what we're getting now, or is it 1 point, what did it say, 1.4 microvolts before? We're getting 1. Let's change scales. It's yeah, on that scale it's 1 as well. So yeah, it is, it's 1 microvolt for 12 decibel SINAD. I would think the manufacturer would have said it's about there, to be honest. Remember, this isn't a high quality set, but it's probably a reliable set. So for 10 decibels it's still 1. So how high a signal do we have to put on to achieve 20 decibels? Uh, 1.4 microvolts, so about where it was before we started is now 20 dB. So going down to 12. Yeah, on that scale it's 0.95 of a microvolt. So it's hovering around 1. I like to be able to get them to hear 0.3. So that's 0.3. I can't hear anything. Let's turn the tone off. No. So the lowest you can hear is about 0.45 of a microvolt. Now we're in EMF mode on the test set. If we put it into PD mode and cheated, that's 0.3 of a microvolt in PD mode. 0.55 microvolts for 1 decibel SINAD, 0.5 microvolts for 10 decibel SINAD. So I'll put it back to EMF, which is the harder to achieve function. So it's not good, but it isn't faulty and it isn't as deaf as a post. I get spoilt by some of the good sets, or even some of the crummy sets like the Great series, which were very sensitive, which was their problem. So I'm going to take a lunch break and we'll come back to this and put it on the aerial. What I will just do right now is we'll set the meter, which needs to be reading S9. You know what? It doesn't have a preset for the meter, does it? Unless it's on the back of the meter like some Maxons can be. No, there's no preset for the meter, so you get what you're given, and it says S3 for 100 microvolts. So if we move the signal generator around, S9 is 300 microvolts on this radio. So it's what you'd call a lazy needle, but we don't modify radios. That's how it is out of the factory, and it's preset. Squelch, we'll just do that. I'll set the squelch to full. So I'll put the camera on the attenuator so you can see that I've got 10 microvolts. Go to 30, we've got full squelch. 100 doesn't open it, I want it to open. So we'll adjust the squelch preset till it does open. Oh, well, how's that then? Okay, that's a never ever open squelch. So we'll turn it till we get the squelch open. No, it doesn't do that at 100 microvolts. So at minimum squelch, it's what? Right, it is 240 microvolts to open up the squelch when it's on full. That's the minimum which will set to. So let's see how the threshold. It's a bit stronger than I would like, but that isn't rubbish because at least it is open at some point. So we'll adjust the squelch now for threshold. Let's see when it opens up now. Oh, I forgot to turn the signal generator off. Here we go. Comes in at 1 microvolt, leaves at 0.95 microvolt. So that should be sensitive enough. So after lunch I'll put it on the air and we'll see whether we can hear any good buddies or even bad buddies out there. Right, so we've put this through the dishwasher, well, the cases I have. So we've got rid of some of the rubbish. This could be improved if I put the time into it. And that includes the front and the knobs. The knobs that are there anyway. So it's now on the aerial. Let's pop the squelch down. Well, nada, Roger. Squelch back on. Not quite sure why the TX light slightly glows. I'm sure we haven't got a wrongly wired mic after all this time. No. See where the transmit light is in the circuit. Anyway, so basic set, high-low power, channel 9 switch, which makes it go into that, and on-off volume squelch. That's all there is to it. So nobody on. It's 1 o'clock, all having the Sunday lunch, and bearing in mind we're 35 miles from nearest city, Nottingham, 30 odd miles from Lincoln, so we don't pick much up, especially during the weekend. So we'll do an on-the-air test with Mr. Chippy later on, and there you have it, the Consam1320, and this one is from 1982. Thanks for watching.